Attainment. Subhuti said, "Through the Buddha's might, O Lord. Moreover, O Lord, a bodhisattva who sets out on his journey does not approach the goal of full bodhisattvahood from where it begins, nor where it ends, nor in the middle either. Because a bodhisattva is boundless as form, etc. is boundless, he does not approach the idea that a bodhisattva is form, etc. That also does not exist and is not apprehended. Thus, in each and every way, I do not get at any of the dharmas which constitute a bodhisattva. I do not see that dharma which the word bodhisattva denotes. Perfect wisdom also I neither see nor get at. All knowledge also I neither see nor get at, since in each and every way I neither apprehend nor see that dharma. What dharma should I instruct and admonish through? What dharma in what dharma? Buddha, bodhisattva, perfect wisdom, all these are mere words, and what they denote is something uncreated. It is as with the self. Although we speak of a self, yet absolutely the self is something uncreated. Since, therefore, all dharmas are without own being, what is that form, etc., which cannot be seized, and which is something uncreated? Thus, the fact that all dharmas are without own being is the same as the fact that they are uncreated. But the non-creation of all dharmas differs from those dharmas themselves. How shall I instruct and admonish a non-creation in a perfect wisdom, which is also a non-creation? And yet one cannot apprehend as other than uncreated all the dharmas, be they those which constitute a Buddha or a bodhisattva or him who marches to enlightenment. If a bodhisattva, when this is being taught, is not afraid, then one should know that this bodhisattva, this great being, courses in perfect wisdom, develops it, investigates it, and meditates on it. Because at that time a bodhisattva investigates these dharmas in perfect wisdom, at that time he does not approach form, etc., nor go to it, nor does he review the production of form, etc., nor its stopping. For the non-production of form, etc., is not form, etc. The non-passing away of form, etc., is not form, etc. Non-production and form are therefore not two, nor divided. Not passing away and form, etc., are therefore not two, nor divided. Inasmuch as one calls it form, etc., one makes account of what is not two. Thus, the bodhisattva investigates in perfect wisdom all dharmas in all their modes, and at that time he does not approach form, etc. Sariputra said, "As I understand the teaching of the Venerable Subhuti, a bodhisattva also is a non-production. But if a bodhisattva is a non-production, how then does he go on the difficult pilgrimage? And how can he possibly endure the experience of those sufferings which he is said to undergo for the sake of beings?" Subhuti said, "I do not look for a bodhisattva who goes on the difficult pilgrimage. In any case, one who courses in the perception of difficulties is not a bodhisattva. Because one who has generated a perception of difficulties is unable to work the wheel of countless beings. On the contrary, he forms the notion of ease. He forms the notion that all beings, whether men or women, are his parents and children, and thus he goes on the pilgrimage of a bodhisattva. A bodhisattva should therefore identify all beings with his parents or children, yes, even with his own self, like this: as I myself want to be quite free from all sufferings, just so all beings want to be quite free from all sufferings. In addition, with regard to all beings, one should form the notion, I ought not to desert all these beings. I ought to set them free from the quite measureless heap of sufferings, and I should not produce toward them a thought of hate, even though I might be dismembered 100 times. It is thus that a bodhisattva should lift up his heart. When he dwells as one whose heart is such, then he will neither course nor dwell as one who perceives difficulties. And further, a bodhisattva should produce the thought that, as in each and every way as self does not exist and is not got at, so in each and every way all dharmas do not exist and are not got at. He should apply this notion to all dharmas, inside and outside. When he dwells as one whose heart is such, then he will neither course nor dwell as one who perceives difficulties. But when the Venerable Sariputra said that a non-production is the bodhisattva, indeed it is so. A non-production is the bodhisattva. Sariputra said, further, is just a bodhisattva a non-production, or the dharmas also which constitute him? Subhuti said, the dharmas which constitute a bodhisattva are also a non-production. Sariputra said, are just the dharmas which constitute a bodhisattva a non-production, or also the state of all knowledge? Subhuti said, the state of all knowledge is also a non-production. Sariputra said, is just the state of all knowledge a non-production, or also the dharmas which constitute it? Subhuti said, the dharmas which constitute all knowledge are also a non-production. Sariputra said, are just the dharmas which constitute all knowledge a non-production, or also the common people? Subhuti said, the common people are also a non-production. Sariputra said, are just the common people a non-production, or also the dharmas which constitute them? Subhuti said, the dharmas which constitute the common people are also a non-production. Sariputra said, if, Venerable Subhuti, the bodhisattva is a non-production, and also the dharmas which constitute him, and also the state of all knowledge, and also the dharmas which constitute it, and also the common people, and also the dharmas which constitute them, then surely the state of all knowledge is reached by a bodhisattva without any exertion? Subhuti said, I do not wish for the attainment of an unproduced dharma, nor for reunion with one. Further, does one attain an unproduced attainment through an unproduced dharma? Sariputra said, is then an unproduced attainment attained through an unproduced dharma, or through a produced dharma? Subhuti said, is then an unproduced dharma produced, or is it unproduced? Sariputra said, is then production a dharma which is non-production, or is non-production a dharma which is production? Subhuti said, to talk of a production dharma as a non-production dharma is not intelligible. Sariputra said, to talk of non-production is also not intelligible. Subhuti said, non-production is just talk. Non-production just appears before the mind's eye. Non-production is just a flash in the mind. Absolutely, it is nothing more than that. Sariputra said, in the first rank of the preachers of Dharma should the Venerable Subhuti be placed, for in whatever way he may be questioned, he finds a way out. He does not swerve from the correct teaching about the true nature of Dharma, and he does not contradict that true nature of Dharma. Subhuti said, this is the Lord's Absolute, the essence of the disciples who are without any support, so that in whatever way they are questioned, they find a way out, do not contradict the true nature of dharmas, nor depart from it, and that because they do not rely on any dharmas. Sariputra said, well said, Subhuti. And what is that perfection of the bodhisattvas which allows them to not lean on any dharma? Subhuti said, the perfection of wisdom, beneficial to all the three vehicles, is also the perfection which allows them to not lean on any dharma, because it shows that all dharmas have no support and can therefore give none. For if a bodhisattva, when this deep perfection of wisdom is being taught, remains unafraid, then one should know that he has adjusted himself to the perfection of wisdom, and that he is not lacking in this attention to the true facts about dharmas. Sariputra said, "How is it that a bodhisattva does not lack in attention when he is adjusted to perfect wisdom? For if a bodhisattva is not lacking in attention, then he should automatically lack in adjustment to the perfection of wisdom. And if he does not lack in adjustment to the perfection of wisdom, then he would be lacking in attention. But if in a bodhisattva the two facts that he is not lacking in attention and that he is not lacking in dwelling in the perfection of wisdom belong together, then all beings also will not be lacking in dwelling in the perfection of wisdom, because they also dwell not lacking in attention." Subhuti said, "Well said. And yet I must reprove you, although the Venerable Sariputra has taken hold of the matter correctly as far as the words are concerned, because one should know that attention is without own being in the same way in which beings are without own being, that attention has no real existence in the same way in which beings have no real existence, that attention is isolated in the same way in which beings are isolated, that attention is unthinkable in the same way in which beings are unthinkable, that acts of mental attention do not undergo the process which leads to enlightenment, in the same way in which beings do not undergo that process, that acts of attention do not in any real sense undergo the process which leads to enlightenment, any more than beings do. It is through an attention of such a character that I wish that a bodhisattva, a great being, may dwell in this dwelling."